Hello and welcome. Today, we have lots of interesting stories, including one about an entitled mom who tries to forcefully live in her son's house with her young lover. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Story 1.
Will I be the idiot if
I return to my mother-in-law everything she has ever given me? My 30F mother-in-law never listens and treats me like a child. I am sick of asking her to not help me with housework, among other things. She seems to think that she knows best and that all she is doing is helping. I was more embarrassed than anything else when she first started treating my home like her own, because I did need help as my kids were very young. It was frustrating not knowing where she put my things and finding stuff I didn't intend to throw away in the bin. But I said nothing as I didn't want to seem ungrateful. As the kids got older, I tried to tell her that the best help she could give is to spend time with the grandchildren. I told her that that way the kids get to have fun with her and I can concentrate on housework in peace. This worked to an extent, as my husband, 32 meters, would back me up whenever mother-in-law visited. Then my husband and I went on a short holiday. Mother-in-law loves watching the kids, so she offered to take them while we're away. Mother-in-law asked for the house key in case they need to go to the toilet, as this was during school term and our house is very close to the eldest child's school. I wasn't too keen but gave her my key. Big mistake. When we got back, all clothes I had in my washing basket were gone. Mother-in-law has raided my house for any and all clothes she could help me wash. She even took a full bag of old clothes I was going to throw away, thinking that I needed them washed. This included my old underwear with holes everywhere. She also found my bag of fancy nightwear, but decided to leave that by the looks of it. I was so embarrassed and furious. The ironic thing is, she wouldn't dare to do this to her own daughter. Like I said earlier, telling her to stop doesn't work no matter how many times I try. I wish I didn't have to rely on her for occasional babysitting, which makes this very difficult as I don't want her to think that I don't appreciate her time. But I am very fed up. Honestly, I'd rather just stay with the kids all the time and not go anywhere without them, but my husband wouldn't be happy about that. So, I thought, maybe actions can speak louder than words in this situation. I want to gather up all the kids' clothes and shoes she's randomly left with us. She has a ridiculous amount of kids' clothes at home, and take them to her and politely decline anything she tries to give me from now on. WIBTA if I did that? I know she tries to help, but I'm so tired of being treated like a child with no privacy, and speaking to my mother-in-law doesn't work. Everyone is the idiot. Mother-in-law gave my key back when we got home from the holiday. I'm certain that she didn't make any copies, as that's too bizarre even for her. If she did, my father-in-law would have told us, as he understands our frustration. I would definitely change the locks at the first sign of mother-in-law sneaking into our home though. My husband has tried telling his mum to mind her own business, but that goes nowhere. Now the top comments. Not the idiot. First of all, change your locks now. Second of all, returning everything might hurt your kids more than your mother-in-law, because they might actually like the clothes and shoes, so go through them all before doing it. Third of all, you just may want to go completely no contact with her, at least for a short time. Finally, keep saying no and putting your foot down. No is a complete sentence. Original poster replies. She had the key only when we were away on holiday and it was just a few days. It's hard to refuse gifts, but I'll just have to from now on. She's given me random things like brooms and cleaning supplies before, and I'm just thinking, what on earth is wrong with the stuff I have already? Second comment. Perhaps I don't fully understand, but you have a problem with your mother-in-law invading your privacy, but not a problem with the things she gives, right? So the solution is not giving everything she ever gave back. The solution is that you and your husband talk to her and explain what your problem is so that she can stop doing that. Story 2. Am I the idiot for telling my neighbors that I will not be raking or removing leaves from my yard again this year? Includes updates. My wife and I have lived in the same house for almost 6 years. We live in an older neighborhood with a lot of mature trees, so every fall there are a lot of leaves on the ground. We have a pretty big lot and a lot of trees, so it takes a lot of time and effort to clear all the leaves off our yard. The first 4 years we lived here, we would spend time every weekend for pretty much a month raking and clearing leaves because we have trees that drop their leaves at different times. It's not hard work, but it's time consuming, and last year I decided that we don't need to do that anymore. I did some research about the benefits of not raking and found that it creates habitat for animals, provides nutrients to your lawn, and, gasp, leaves are natural and incredibly biodegradable. So we took the time that we had previously spent raking leaves and took our family to apple orchards and pumpkin patches on the weekends instead. It was liberating, but neighbors on both sides of our house complained to me that leaves from our yard were blowing into their yards and creating more work for them. They both told me that we should rake them up so that they don't blow into their yards. I told both of them that we aren't raking anymore, and they both think we are being jerks and disrespectful to them. We don't live in aitA, and there's no city ordinance about forcing homeowners to rake leaves. It's purely an aesthetic thing. This past weekend I was outside with my kids and my 2 neighbors approached me asking if we are planning on raking this year. I told them that no, we are not going to rake. I explained that we saved dozens of hours of time by not doing it and that the leaves were all degraded and gone by the end of winter anyway, so we are taking the natural approach again. They both got upset and complained that we are creating more work for them by not taking proper care of our yard. We don't have fences separating our yards, so the leaves do move pretty freely between our properties. I told them that no one is forcing them to rake their leaves either, and they are free to let them biodegrade just like we did. One of them got really angry with me and told me how much of a jerk I am being about this. The other calmed him down a bit and offered that maybe they could help pitch in and hire a service to come clear our yard so that it doesn't create any extra work for us or them. I told him I am not putting any time, energy, or money towards clearing leaves from my property, and told them both to mind their own business and to leave us alone, no pun intended. They both think we are being bad neighbors and disrespectful to the rest of them. But it was so freeing to wake up during fall weekends last year and look out at my leaf-covered lawn and realize that I don't have to do sh*t about it. Now for the top comments. Not the idiot, but maybe find a way to meet your neighbors halfway? What if you were to run a lawnmower over them to mulch them a bit? Then they aren't blowing about and it's time you would have spent in the summer mowing your lawn, so nothing too out of the ordinary. Little less time consuming than raking. Second reply. Not the idiot. Go over to r/no lawns if you really want to piss them off. If you plant strategically, you could even have your yard declared an official monarch sanctuary. It's a fun project for kids to plant milkweed and create a butterfly garden. The original poster replies, "We have already taken steps to make our yard more bee and pollinator friendly. Lots of native plants and wildflowers have been planted over the past few years. We planted a pollinator garden and are already seeing many more bees and monarchs." Third reply. Not the idiot. You don't have to give up multiple weekends each month to satisfy these neighbors. This is optional and a ton of work you don't want or need. Besides, if your yard and ultimately neighborhood is so full of mature trees that drop so many leaves each fall, then one neighbor's yard is about a drop in the bucket compared to the total leaf fall. How many times have I raked leaves only to come back a day later to see the yard covered again? And not really from my trees. I can tell the new leaves on my lawn are a different species than the trees in my yard. This is autumn. Leaves fall on the lawn and they need to get over it. I also stop raking leaves in the fall. What I do is run the lawnmower over them in mulching mode to grind them up and return them to the soil even faster. Congrats on finding more time for yourselves. You are doing nothing wrong. Not the idiot. Story 3. Am I the idiot for upsetting my mom by saying her dead father was a horrible person? My 21 male mom, 46 female, occasionally told me stories about my grandfather, her dad, who died shortly before my parents married each other. Apparently, he was a military general who was also a philanthropist and was very respected in the community. But my dad told me that he extended the military attitude to his family. When I asked what he meant, he said, for example, if my grandpa didn't like the dinner that my grandma cooked, He'd casually walk while pulling the tablecloth so everything on the table would crash down on the floor. I found those stories very disturbing. My dad thinks his father-in-law was the reason my mom developed anxiety in her younger years. My mom never disputed it, but she never spoke badly about him either. I thought that my grandpa's behavior was horrible. One day I voiced that out loud while saying, "Damn, glad I didn't get to meet him." My mom became very upset at my comment. She was hung up on the fact that she never had the dad walking bride off the aisle experience since he died before her marriage, so my dad thought I was very rude and insensitive towards her feelings. Is he right? Am I the idiot? The replies. You all have different feelings about your late grandfather. Ask your parents if they want you to be hiding your true feelings from them in the future. I personally would rather know the painful truth than to promote my kid keeping stuff from me. You may want to apologize for the hurt your stated feelings caused your mom, but don't apologize for how you feel. It might be rude to state your honest negative feelings about a person who has passed on to someone that loved that person, but I promise you it wasn't the first time you were ever rude to them and probably won't be the last time either. He passed away years ago, not last week, so you would think your mom would understand that some of the stories you've heard about that man would make a bad impression on you, not the idiot. Second reply. Not the idiot. My grandfather died before I was born and he was a horrible human. Sometimes my mom acknowledges that and sometimes she misses what she wanted him to be. You are not wrong in your sentiment, but he was the father and grief is complex. I think this is one of those times when biting your tongue is best. Story 4. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay for my half of the rent? I, 19F, have been living with a close friend, 19F, since last December. We co-signed a lease so both our names are on paper for the place we're renting out and we pay 50/50 for the rent. The lease was up a couple of months ago but we were still making back-to-back monthly payments due to our agreement with our landlord. Everything was going well up until a couple of months ago when my roommate started acting differently. It started off with some small things like when she'd have a bad day at work she would get home and basically take it out on me, which is fine, I can handle minor mood swings. I thought it would just be a temporary thing anyways, however, it gradually got worse. She was constantly mad at me and would look for anything to berate for, sometimes without even giving a reason why after. Not only that, but she kept acting like the place was solely hers. She would say things to mutual friends about how it was her place, therefore she had the final say in whatever happened to it or who was welcome and who wasn't without even consulting me. I finally had enough, so I decided that it was time for me to move out. I gave our landlord my 1 monthly notice to be out by the end of September and told her about it the next day. She gave the landlord her 1 monthly notice about 2 weeks after I told her, but by then it was already September, so she informed him she would be gone by October. Even before I gave my notice to the landlord, I've been staying with a different friend, 20 male. So I haven't been there since almost a month ago now. The other day she messaged me saying that rent was gonna be due for October and that I had to pay my half, but I told her, I'm afraid I can't do so as I gave my notice that I'd be gone by the end of September. She ended up getting mad and saying that this was not fair and that I'm totally screwing her over. I haven't even been living there for almost a month now, so I feel I shouldn't have to pay for a place that isn't mine anymore, but I do feel kinda bad about it. So am I the idiot for refusing to pay my half of the rent? The replies in the comments. You are the idiot. If any of your belongings are still there, if everything is out by end of September you don't owe, but if you store anything there then you do owe that rent. Not the idiot if you're completely out by your date. The original poster replies. I made sure to get everything out. I honestly didn't trust her to not go through any of my stuff as she's had no problem doing it, without real reason, with our last roommate we had staying with us. Second reply. So I'm 50/50 on this. You let your friend know 1 day under a month, so that's not a full month, not giving her a lot of time to get her shit together, whereas you probably were thinking and planning this out for a lot longer. So, let's say you were more prepared. Maybe you could have given some pre-warning before you went to your landlord, and have an honest and open conversation about how you felt and what you were going to do before doing it, especially if you considered her a close friend. It's unfortunate when living situations go wrong, but we should always try to handle things in a way that is beneficial to all parties. Even if they haven't been the kindest to you, rather be better than try playing the same game. Living with another person is difficult and it can go sour more often than not. Hope everything worked out. Story 5. Am I the idiot for not letting my mother and her new husband stay in my home? After my parents' divorce, my mom went crazy and married this weird dude named Rich. They were complete alcoholics messes and I would have to go peel them off the floor of the local pizza bar and deal with the cops the next day after whatever fight they got into caught up to them. They finally divorced a few years ago. Jump ahead to last winter. I have moved out, gotten married and have my kids. It's been a few years since mom left Rich and she seems to be doing okay. Mom video calls me. She's talking about a wedding we were to attend and then she says she's with a friend and wants me to meet them. This dude, Carl, comes on and it's hella awkward. Lots of giggling, should we tell him, and stuff. Then my mom just starts waving her ring hand behind his head and I catch on that they are engaged. I had no clue that she was even seeing anyone, and based on how quick she got with her last husband, several weeks after my dad moved out Rich moved in. Flash forward to the wedding this year. All is well. The day before the party, I meet Carl. He's okay, like if it was a person. The day of the party I see him and mom getting sloshed. No outbursts or distracting behavior, but they are getting pretty deep in the drink. This puts me out of party mode and back into crisis manager mode, so my evening isn't ruined but I am not having fun anymore. Long story. Mom ends up sleepy drunk in a chair and this guy is retching in the bushes behind the venue. With this I am not impressed with him and my mind is made up. Mom is back to acting foolishly and I need to protect myself and my family. Mom reaches out to me to say that she wants to come visit for a long weekend over Labor Day this year. I say cool. Just you though, I don't want Carl in the house with the kids. Pick the song and dance where you are not going to drink, and when I don't bend on it she says okay it'll just be her. The week before she's to come here Carl messages me asking if it's okay if he comes. I say, no, I don't know you. The last time I saw you, you were bent over double sick from drinking. If you want to come I can look into getting you guys an Airbnb or hotel, and the convo peters out from there. Mom calls that night to say that something came up and they won't be traveling. It's amazing how often something comes up with her when it comes to visiting, but I am no longer surprised and let it roll off. Not worth the fight. I was on the phone with my brother the other night and he brought up that mom has been going around saying that I barred her and her husband from my house. Which isn't true. They can come here, but they cannot stay here. She can stay, but I don't want a literal stranger in my house where my kids sleep. I don't know if they only drink at parties or if it's an every night thing for her again, and I don't want to find out. So, am I the idiot for not letting them stay here and offering to help find a hotel/Airbnb?